Chapter 19. Gifts to the king. Bo Yikao was unwilling to give up his plan, even though it was strongly opposed by Sun Yisheng. He went into the inner palace to bid farewell to Taiji, his mother. "If you leave here, who's to rule the dukedom?" Taiji asked. "I've entrusted Jifa with all domestic affairs, Sun Yisheng with all external affairs, and General Namgongquo with military affairs. In the name of offering tribute, I'm going to Jiaoge to see the king in order to redeem my father." Seeing that Bo Yikao was so determined, Taiji gave her reluctant consent, but she cautioned him. "You must be very careful." Bo Yikao then left his mother and went to the front palace to see his younger brother Jifa. "Remain in harmony with your brothers and don't change any customs or regulations. It'll be 2 or 3 months before I come back," he instructed. He prepared the items for tribute and selected an auspicious day on which to start his journey. When the day arrived, Jifa and his other 97 brothers, as well as all the civil and military officials, escorted Bo Yikao to Chengting Pavilion 10 li from the city, where they parted after farewell toasts. Traveling quickly, Bo Yikao and his party reached Sishui Pass after a single journey. When the guards saw the procession of horses, chariots, and especially the pennants indicating tribute to His Majesty from the West Grand Duke, they rushed in and reported to Commander Han Rong, who ordered that the gates be opened at once. Bo Yikao went through the 5 passes in this way without any trouble. He reached Mianxu County, where he crossed the Yellow River by ferry to Mengjing, and finally entered Jiaoge. He put up there in an official hostel. The next morning, he dressed up in mourning, took his memorial, and went to the palace gate. When he got there, he saw no one about, and as he dared not enter without authorization, he returned to his lodgings. On the 5th day, he finally saw a minister approaching the palace gate on horseback. It was Vice Prime Minister Bi Gan. He went up and knelt down before him. "Who is the gentleman kneeling before me?" Bi Gan asked. "I'm Bo Yikao, son of Jichang, the convict." Bi Gan quickly dismounted and raised Bo Yikao to his feet, saying, "Please get up, Prince. What brings you here?" "When my father offended His Majesty, he was only saved from death by your appeal to the throne. My family will never forget this overwhelming kindness you have shown us. Nevertheless, my father's been confined in Yoli for 7 years already, and we've worried about him constantly. I'm sure His Majesty must remember how honest and loyal my father has always been and wouldn't do anything to him. I discussed the matter with Sun Yisheng and decided to offer some precious family heirlooms as tribute to His Majesty in order to redeem my father. I hope you'll sympathize with us and help my father return to his native land. The people of West Qi would be eternally grateful." "What's the tribute you're offering?" Bi Gan inquired. "There's the 7 fragrance carriage, a sobriety carpet, a white-faced monkey, and 10 beautiful maids." Bo Yikao answered. "Why's the 7 fragrance carriage regarded as precious?" This 7 fragrance carriage was left by the ancient sage Emperor Shungyun, who used it to defeat his enemies in the North Sea district. The carriage needs neither driver nor horses, and runs automatically according to the will of the rider. The sobriety carpet is also very valuable. Any drunkard who lies on the carpet quickly becomes sober. As for the white-faced monkey, though it's not human, it's a great musician. It knows 3,000 folk songs and 800 classical pieces. He can sing at banquets and dance gracefully upon one's palm. Though they're truly wonderful, they won't help His Majesty mend his ways. He's lost all virtue and may possibly become worse if you present him with these playthings. But you're doing this out of true filial concern for your father, so I'll report your arrival to His Majesty so as not to thwart your good intentions." King Zhou quickly admitted Bi Gan and asked him what he wished to report. "Bo Yikao, son of Jichang, the West Grand Duke, has arrived with tributes hoping to redeem his father." "What's he offering?" Bi Gan presented Bo Yikao's memorial, and after reading it, the king ordered that Bo Yikao be admitted. When Bo Yikao entered, he fell down and walked on his knees towards the throne. "The son of your criminal minister ventures to seek an audience with your majesty," he said. "Ji Chang committed a serious crime, but you're a filial son to offer precious tributes to redeem him. Our whole family greatly appreciates the boundless grace your majesty showed in sparing my father's life. I venture to redeem him so that he may be reunited with his family. If you would grant this favor, your mercy and great virtue would be remembered and admired for 10,000 years." King Zhou was deeply moved by Bo Yikao's filial piety and his sincere and courteous manner. He ordered that he get up and stand beyond the rail of the court. Daji peeped at Bo Yikao from behind the curtain and was captivated by his handsome appearance and refined manners. Unable to restrain herself, she ordered her attendants to raise the curtain. "Queen, Bo Yikao, son of the West Grand Duke, has brought gifts to atone for his father's crime. He really is rather pitiful." King Zhou addressed her. "Ivy heard that Bo Yikao is a great musician. His skill in playing the zither is unrivaled anywhere in the world." Daji told King Zhou. "How do you know that, my dear? When I was still at home, I heard from my parents that Bo Yikao was good at music and especially skilled at playing the zither. You may see for yourself." The king believed every word she said and ordered Bo Yikao to enter and meet Daji. "I've heard that you play the zither well. Would you play a tune for me now?" Daji asked after he had kowtowed. "Your Majesty, the saying goes that when parents are not in good health, their sons dare not dress comfortably or eat in comfort. As my father's suffered for 7 years, how could I be so unconcerned about him as to take pleasure in music? In addition, my heart's broken and I cannot play in tune. My performance would be an insult to you." Bo Yikao said sadly. "Yikao," said King Zhou genially, "play a tune for us here. If your skill's outstanding, I'll set both you and your father free." Bo Yikao was delighted and thanked the king profusely. When a zither was brought in, he sat cross-legged on the floor, rested it on his knees, and began to play a tune entitled, "The Breeze in the Pine Forest." Delicate willows tremble in the morning breeze. Half-opened peach blossoms reflect the sun, heedless of the carriages running east and west. Fragrant grass covers the earth with brocade. Bo Yikao played enchantingly, and the notes fell now like the tinkling of jade and pearls, and now like the rustling of pines in a secluded gorge. Everyone felt cleansed and uplifted as if they had visited paradise and heard its heavenly music. King Zhou was greatly pleased. "You're right, Queen. Bo Yikao's playing is perfection itself. His skill is renowned throughout the kingdom, but as we've just seen, not even his reputation does justice to his talent." Daji replied. Even more pleased, King Zhou ordered a banquet at the star-picking mansion in honor of Bo Yikao. At the table, Daji watched Bo Yikao surreptitiously and found him very fascinating. She noticed his full, handsome face, elegant manner, and charming behavior. Looking then at King Zhou, she found him in contrast to be old, withered, and unattractive. Since ancient times, beautiful young women have always preferred handsome youths, and Daji was no exception, particularly as she was, in fact, a lewd fox sprite. "I must keep him here on the pretext of having him teach me to play the zither," she thought. "Then I'll take the opportunity to play with him in bed. Since he's a young man, he can satisfy me more than that old guy." She mused and thought up a plan. "Though your kindness would be boundless as the heavens should you set his father free, Bo Yikao's the only person in the world so skilled in playing the zither. Zhao Ge would regret his absence if he leaves here. What a pity it would be," she said to King Zhou. "What should we do then? I have a perfect solution." "What ingenious idea have you come up with now, dear? You may set Ji Chang free, but keep Bo Yikao here to teach me the zither. He can attend to you all day and entertain you with his music. Both the West Grand Duke and his son would be overwhelmed by your kindness, while Zhao Ge wouldn't miss his sweet music," Daji said excitedly. King Zhou patted her on the shoulder. "Darling, you've come up with a solution to please everybody," he said admiringly, then ordered, "Let Bo Yikao stay at the star-picking mansion to give zither lessons." Daji was secretly overjoyed. "I must get King Zhou drunk and put him to bed and out of the way, so that I can make it with Bo Yikao," she thought, ordering the palace attendants to prepare another feast. King Zhou assumed it was a sign of her deep love for him, never imagining that she dared to offend public decency and violate the ethical code by committing adultery. She raised a gold goblet and toasted King Zhou again and again. "Long live your majesty." Bottoms up. Believing that she loved him deeply, the king drank freely and soon became intoxicated. Daji ordered the palace maids to help him to bed, and then asked Bo Yikao to begin teaching. When the palace maids fetched 2 zithers, Bo Yikao began. "Your Majesty, I'll start with a description of the zither. It's composed of 5 parts, and can be played on 6 pentatonic scales. When playing, the fingers of the left hand should assume the shape of a dragon's eye and those of the right, the shape of a phoenix's eye. There are 8 types of fingering: downward stroke, upward stroke, picking, scraping, casting, holding, pressing, and beating. But one should never play when in one of 6 frames of mind, and/or in 7 kinds of situations." "What are these?" Daji asked.